So we were talking about this pathway, and I think the thing is, let's just think of it like this. In normal people, you do this. You go, the B cell just turns on IL-4 receptor in the early stage, Bach2 mechanism, and they don't make autoantibodies. They're over. They're kind of going like this. They can respond to worms. They can respond to even some viruses, proteins, but they tend not to make autoantibodies, like anti-nucleic autoantibodies. And, of course, that's the Tbat. Let's just be serious here. It's a Th1 kind of a pathway anyway, so it's a viral IL-2 pathway. So Th1 viral response, IL-2, Tbat. Here's IL-2 is even in the stimulus here. So if you have but that's viral DNA and so forth. But cytotoxic T cells here. So, let's say to make antibodies. No autoantibody concern. That was new. The Tbat is a new thing. So that they make autoantibodies into that pathway B cells. That's not even supposed to happen. But this is a normal autoantibody thing. IL-4 receptor was originally discovered as a class switch one anyway. You put LPS plus IL-4, 1982 or 3. Bill Paul showed that made B cells class switched IgA and IgE, especially down class switch down there. Maybe they were IgG, but anyway, the class switch made a lot of autoantibodies. So that's this pathway. It's a normal pathway, and that's not the pathway for lupus. In fact, it prevents the pathway for lupus. So, and what I was thinking of is cells are feeding in here from the bone marrow all the time. And they just keep going down this pathway in a normal person. Maybe a few can stray up like that, but they're under control. So what might happen in lupus is, so cells always feeding in, and all of a sudden you get a virus. Or you get decreased clearance of apoptotic cell debris, something like that. As soon as that happens, all of a sudden you got apoptotic cell debris. All of a sudden, right at the beginning, the B cell, as soon as it expresses its receptor, at the transitional stage, out there in the marginal zone, for example, all of a sudden the B cells will start to respond to this and upregulate interferon beta. And you may get, we see it in people. People can have a cluster of interferon beta cells, and they can have a cluster of IL-4 receptor cells at the same person. And the interferon beta cell cluster may be a little behind this one. In other words, these were going out, but these got stimulated, and then this turned off, and this came out. So really, you see, as you know, in our data, that you get ISG and IL4R, and you get, like in the same person, you get a lot of the genes here and a lot of genes here. So B cells, these are individual B cells. Some B cells express these genes, other B cells will express those genes. They don't express either one. It may be that these B cells were here, the healthy ones, and all of a sudden this happened, and it stimulated these to start to develop, and then we captured them at this kinetic time point. You look later, they might be back to here. Or, some lupus patients, they get worse and worse, you saw it, they all of a sudden got these genes and nothing here. None of these healthy genes. And healthy patients, the other way around. Healthy patients are all over here. They only have, every B cell has these genes, the IL-4 genes. So this could be what they do. They go like this, you get virus or AC clearance defect, and then you move into producing these. And then if you keep something up, I guess then it becomes some kind of positive feedback circle in a bad lupus patient. It can't correct itself down to here, and then they all of a sudden end up, a lot of B cells will end up here. So if this occurs, if you start getting this, and let's just say this is actually, so they're not necessarily mutually, the cell itself is mutually exclusive, but the process may not, this may not downregulate this. Well, it can downregulate. This may not downregulate this or this production. They just get produced under different initial conditions, decreased AC clearance, for example. All of a sudden, you get a wave of these cells. And of course, Bach2 isn't expressed. And that's something to look at, why this goes and this doesn't. But to say that this turns this off or that turns that off might not be the right answer. It may be that something at the beginning starts to make these sorts of cells. And but what can turn it off, that's what I was saying over here, these cells, the resting naive B cells that come out of this stage aren't necessarily bad as long as they express BAC2. And who knows, they may be, well, in any event, it may be that you can take these cells and you can stimulate them to an activated naive stage through sort of recall memory, Th1. You're going to say, okay, you B cell, you were originally made to respond to viruses, and Th1s produce interferon gamma. So let's test you out, and if you give them interferon gamma plus other stimuli, then they will become an activated naive and produce autoantibodies. So this sort of shows, it's sort of like testing the B cell for what they really want to respond to, and they will do this in vitro. And IL-4 will inhibit this in vitro, but this is like, you know, like a sort of like a stimulation or test to see what this B cell is capable of doing. I wonder if you can take a normal B cell, a normal person. This is in lupus patients, so normal people may not do this. They're down here. If you stimulate that with IL-2, they say, no, we weren't ever meant to be. I wasn't ever meant to be a Th1. So it only gets a subpopulation even in this. Of course, that's the experiment we did. We just did the experiment. We were in vitro. We did these different conditions and stimulation to see can IL-4 protect against this? But what we should do is we have a normal in there. Can a normal actually be induced? Because their B cells were never supposedly able to go down that pathway anyway. So I think all those things are testing purposes.